everybody. Thanks for stopping by to give a listen to the Successful Mind podcast. On today's episode, David and I discuss a question we received from one of our students around faking it until you make it, what that means, and how doubt plays into that whole concept. Give it a listen and let us know what you think.
You're listening to the Successful Mind podcast.
Successful people learn how to make their minds work for them.
We are Life is Now, and this is the Successful Mind podcast. All right, David. So for today's podcast, we received a very interesting question because, we have a portal where people can submit questions, and every Saturday we answer those questions and send it out in an email form. And this question was really interesting, and I was just going to bring it up as a podcast topic, but I think it'd be really beneficial to actually read the question and then have us discuss it. Is that cool with you?
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, Brandon, can you pull up that blog question? Can you read it for us, please?
Yeah, I absolutely can. I've got it right here in front of me.
Thank
Here
you.
we go.
Thank you.
So this question came from Christine to our Ask Us Anything portal. And her question was, I'm a little confused by the phrase, fake it till you make it. I've never liked that phrase. It always bothered me. I hear variations of it, such as live as if. I know Price Pritchett talks about acting without doubt. How does that work when you actually do have doubts? How is acting without doubt different from faking it until you make it?
Yeah, that's a great question. Mm-hmm. So the idea, there's a lot of back and forth about the idea about fake it till you make it. It's not about lying. It's about acting as if the outcome that you want were true. So having said that, part of the idea around this thing with doubt is an uncertainty that's manifested or rationalized itself in your mind, and causing an uncertainty about whatever it is that you're doing. So lack of confidence, lack of good energy, not really believing the thing that you're going to do will show up. It causes a lot of issues. And there's also an incongruency in whatever it is that you're communicating with the universe when you actually have doubt. But to answer this person's question, I think what's cool about this is that doubt to me is evidence that there's a lack of truth missing in your evaluation. So what is it that you're actually doubting? If you were to talk to a person where they're experiencing doubt, I would say, tell me specifically what it is that you're doubting, right? And where's that coming from? In order to doubt something, you have to believe the negative to some degree. I mean, that's what's creating the doubt. Either there's evidence of that, in the data, or there's evidence of that in the social, or somewhere in a person's environment, they're getting evidence of something that is causing them to believe this doubt. So if you were working with somebody to overcome a problem like this, the idea would be that you replace the doubt with truth. So what is the truth? And it's important to really understand what that truth is, because if you understand the truth, then it can replace all doubt. So a lot of times people will set a goal and they'll have doubt.
Yeah.
People need to raise a certain amount of money. Maybe they need to overcome a debt problem. Maybe they don't have the right employees. Maybe they have significant problems that are reoccurring on a regular basis, and they doubt things can be good or right, or the money will show up, or they'll get the right people. So I'm always asking that individual, what is it that's causing you to believe in the possibility that it won't or that it can't happen, right? So what's their frame of reference that causes it? Because doubt's a belief in and of itself. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm following you. Yeah.
It's a belief in and of itself. If you start to think truth above all else, it starts off with the 7 universal laws, because those laws show us how to think about whatever it is that we're thinking about. It gives us a constructive platform to be able to think. Take the law of polarity, for instance. If you're looking at a problem that you have and you're saying, I doubt that we could fix this, you're expressing an ignorance around an unknown truth, which is that if you have a problem, there has to be a solution. It can't be the problem can't be absolute. There has to be a solution to it. If there's something that you don't have, the thing that you don't have has to be there at some point. But if a person doesn't know that, or they don't understand, or have never heard about universal principles, they literally don't know how to think about the problem. So they get stuck in this idea of doubt because they don't know how to move their mind past it. And then that creates a problem in and of itself. So if I start to take these principles from the universe, these 7 laws, and I ask myself, okay, what specifically is the problem that I have? How can I move my mind to truth so that I'm not stuck in doubt? Where can I create the possibility for achievement? Where can I create the possibility for the manifestation? Where can I create the possibility for getting the solution or the right answer to this? I'm going to look through those laws and see how those laws help me create that from an imaginary perspective with my intellect. So when a person's stuck in doubt, they either don't know those laws or they haven't practiced them enough to actually have any belief in that they're real. And, the thing is, there's another thing with this, because you mentioned to me before we actually started about the Price Pritchett in U Squared talking about this. The idea is that doubt is a negative faith in the wrong direction, basically.
Yes.
Right? It's not a positive faith.
Yeah.
Right? Did you want to say something?
No.
About
That I was hoping you were going to say
that?
that.
Okay. So it's a negative faith in the wrong direction. You could just as easily say, I'm going to have faith in the right thing. But what I have experienced with people that have extreme doubt, I'll go all the way back to my mother on this one. There was nothing that you could convince her of that there was a positive outcome with certain things. It was all catastrophic thinking, right? There's no way out of this.
Yeah.
If you could not explain to her specifically, step by step, how to get on the positive side of something, then there was no capacity for that in her mind whatsoever. Yet, faith is what allows us to be able to do that, because you don't have to know how you're going to fix the problem. You don't have to know how the money's going to show up. You don't have to know how you're going to get the solution. You have to understand how to work the law so that you can move your mind from the doubt to the possibility of faith through the expectation of the thing that you actually want or desire. And there's very specific steps to doing that.
Okay. I'm rewinding.
Okay, rewind.
So I'm rewinding to the first 2 minutes of this podcast first, because you explained fake it till you make it.
Yeah.
In a way that most people probably need to hear 4 or 5 times. So fake it till you make it, you said, is not about lying.
Right.
It's about what?
Right. So fake it till you make it is about believing that the expectation of what you desire is real, and you're going to behave as if that is the truth in your life.
So the difference is, let's say you're a wealth coach. And you're actually not wealthy yourself. And you're lying to people saying you can help them create wealth in their life because you've done it yourself or you've helped others, when that, in fact, that's not true.
Right.
That's the lying part of fake it till you make it. That's
right.
what you don't want to do.
Correct.
That's misrepresentation.
Correct. You're not going to say I'm a millionaire if you're not a millionaire.
Yes.
Right. That's a lie. And yet the thing is that there's actually no reason to do that. But you want to behave as if that result is inevitable. It's going to happen for you, right? Mm-hmm. That's the only thing that I'm referring to. I'm not. Okay. And I know that there's a lot of people that think that it is just a complete lie, and that they get really hung up on the idea of fake. And I get it. I mean, it's, if you don't understand what it is, it can really trip you up. But it's behaving as if. That's what it is. It's behaving as if.
It's all about expectation.
It is. Yeah, absolutely. And if you're doubting, that doubt is an expectation. It's just in the wrong direction.
Right. So acting as if, let's go back to I don't know my Bible verses very well. So let's go back to the Bible verse, and you'll know which one I'm talking about as soon as I say it, where someone's praying for, I'm so slaughtering this. Someone's praying for rain.
Yeah.
And it's not coming.
Yeah.
And someone goes to someone else. Who is it? Please help me. This is like embarrassing. Someone goes to someone else and says, why is God not giving us rain?
Right.
And the person says, well, where are the ditches?
Where are the ditches? Yeah.
Where are the ditches to catch the rain?
I think
You're not acting as if. You're not acting with expectation.
Yes. I don't remember chapter and verse on that, but I know the story.
Brandon's looking it up for us right now.
You got it, T? Was it Moses that said that?
Yeah, I think I might. It looks like it comes from the King James Version, the second book of Kings, verse 3, 16 to 19. Maybe that's what it is. I'm still looking though.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it was a powerful Bible verse for me. I remember it from when I was a kid.
Yes.
Right? And
yes.
you've made mention of it like, oh, so that's what expectation looks like. You're not waiting for the evidence to then expect the result.
Right.
You're expecting the result in the absence of the evidence.
That's right. That's right. And that requires some learning, right? So somebody had to generally teach you that idea. It requires, I shouldn't say that it requires an understanding of the universal laws, because I've met people that were raised with that idea almost from the religious concept, but it definitely helps if you understand those laws, because it is really understanding that we're a creative being, and that by the proper use of our imagination and the visionary principles of what we have, we create our future, right? So it's a progress moving forward for whatever it is that we want to create. But we have to internally, emotionally expect that. So what is the expectation? Well, from an emotional perspective, it's gratitude. It's being grateful for the thing that is not yet here. From the biblical perspective, it's action orientated, right? So we're praying for rain, but we must not believe the rain's coming if we don't dig the ditches, because the ditches are necessary to hold the rain that we need for, planting crops or whatever it is that they were doing with the rain. It's showing that you believe and that you have faith that the thing that you desire is going to show up. The doubting person just sits there and they make fun of everybody and say you're crazy and this is never going to happen or whatever, and they come up with their own valid reasons in their mind. They rationalize why it's not going to take place. And
I see this with coaching entrepreneurs through the hiring process, right?
Yeah.
Like they want all this evidence that it's okay for them to hire. So they think they have to make more money to be able to afford to hire, but they can't make more money until they hire because they're at capacity. Acting with the expectation that their business is going to grow means that you're hiring before, like that hire has to happen before the evidence shows up.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
It's all about decision before action.
It is. And when I think about when this was first laid on me by my mentor, I had heard some of this stuff before, but to actually put it into practice was a very awkward feeling. And this is the part that was interesting, and it was interesting because I had made some mistakes, just out of my own wrong thinking. But here was the principle behind this. So he's laying out to me some of these things that he wants me to do that require acting as if, right? It requires faith moving forward. It requires gratitude. And I'm thinking to myself, this is the most irresponsible thing that I've ever heard of, right? And I realized in that moment how much of what I had been taught as a kid was based on principles that just keep people buried in the same old for their entire life. There's nothing in those principles that allows them to move forward. It's all about being safe. It's all about what other people think about you. In the guise of that, there is no forward movement with a person's imagination and what they can actually create for their life. So, for instance, if you tell somebody, like one of the things that I was told was fly first class. And
Proctor told you this.
Proctor told me this.
Okay.
And I'm thinking to myself, how the hell can I fly first class? I don't have the money to do it. And I remember asking him, it was one of the times I actually pushed back, and I said, don't you think you should show me how to make some money first? Right? Because I was coaching with him to learn how to make more money. Well, many things, but that was a big thing. And he said, until you change your expectation of life, you won't make any more money. And I was like, what does that mean? He said, until you expect to be a millionaire, until you understand how to treat yourself like a millionaire, until you change your internal image of what a millionaire looks like. And it's not just the money, but it's how you treat yourself, how you live, what you value. You won't make that money because there's no need to make it. Now, I did not know what he was telling me at that point. I understood what he was saying. I wasn't stupid, but it was kind of like, that's really hard to overcome when you hear charging this is an irresponsible thing. Where's the money going to come from? And he would say the universe is going to pay for it, right? And it'd be like, how come the universe hasn't paid anything before? And that's when he said to me, you'll always get what you need when you need it. And I said, what did you say? He said, you'll always get what you need when you need it. He said, you wouldn't even be here if that wasn't true. And I sat back and I started thinking about what he was saying. We were in a hotel kitchen in New Orleans, and he had just come off of the stage. And I actually flew down to New Orleans to have this conversation with him because I was very much trying to step into my dream in life. And he said, have you ever starved before? And I'm thinking to myself, where the hell is this guy going with this conversation? It was like an out of body experience, Steph. We're in this kitchen. Have you ever starved before? And I'm like, no. He says, do you ever know anybody who's starved? And I thought for a minute and I was like, no. He said, you'll always get what you need when you need it. He said, David, there's been a lot of times where you've been in real dire straits in your life. Hasn't the things that you needed to make it through it always shown up? And I wanted to say no, like that's complete bullshit. We went bankrupt. We lost our car. We did all of these different things. But as I sat back and started thinking, there was a difference between getting everything that you want versus getting everything that you need. Definitely didn't get everything that we wanted, but everything that we needed started to show up. And when I began to wrap my mind around that day, what was fascinating was that a lot of the doubt that I had around the idea that this stuff would actually show up in my life began to go, and my faith began to increase because I realized that I was already programmed with a set point in life that no matter basically what I did, it was going to show up. And then I went home. You know the story. I went home and I actually studied this for 6 months. I'm looking at everybody I knew. I'm like, there's got to be a hole in this someplace, but there wasn't. Yeah. There wasn't. So I was like, so everybody already has some amount of this faith in their life. They just don't know it. And a lot of times because people complain and bitch and moan about everything, they don't actually see the good that they desire that does show up. You know, there's good things that show up. They don't look at it as being good things, or they blow it off to luck, which is one of the things that I used to do. So as I began to really contemplate what this guy was teaching me, I was like, this is really amazing. Because I saw that it worked for everybody. It was a universal principle. Unless a person already had a bottom line experience of being homeless, they weren't going to have that again. And that went with the same thing with anything. So he's telling me, if you raise your standard in life, right? If you begin to expect more and you behave as if you're expecting more, the thing that you expect is going to start showing up in your life. So I let go of the idea of being responsible because one of the things that he taught me was responsible was really your ability to respond. Right. So that was really interesting. And I had the ability to respond, and I was building my skill sets and I was building my faith. And as I did that, all of this doubt went away because I was learning what the truth was. The truth was it didn't matter what it was, the answer, the solution, whatever it is that you needed was already here. And if you understood the steps about understanding faith and using that faith through the proper application of gratitude and the mindset of gratitude and forming an image of what it is that you desired, and then using your will to stay focused in that direction along with whatever behavior needed to come, which is the acting
as if
part, right? Then you'll manifest whatever it is that you need.
And doesn't it all boil down to the fact that the universe is deductive in nature? Like it must respond.
Yes, 100%.
It must respond to you.
Yes, that was also something that he taught me. He said, spirit's deductive in nature. It can't change anything because the idea behind it's more life. So it's always flowing to and through us, and it will make itself to be whatever it's passing through. So all the forms of life that we experience in our life have a genetic structure to them, and as that flows through it, the genetic structure tells it what to become. But it's the same energy. It's spirit, energy, universe, whatever. As it flows through human beings, there's two principles there. There's our genetic structure, our DNA, right? So we look like mom and dad to some degree, flows through us. But we also have the ability with our intellect and our imagination to build images in our mind and hold them with our will to the end of the expectation of what it is that we want. And as it flows through that, not only does it make us aware of all the opportunities that will bring that to us, it literally helps us attract it because we're communicating with our mind to every other thing out there that's on the same wavelength. And we become aware of it, it becomes aware of us, and as long as we're willing to take the action, it shows up.
It's worked that way every single time.
Every single
without
time.
fail.
Yes, since I learned it, it's never. I've never had. This has never failed for me ever.
Yeah.
Even in the worst of times, you've seen me go through some bad times.
Yeah.
Even in the worst of times, it's worked out absolutely perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's really putting your faith in the laws, putting your faith in actually the natural laws of physics, wouldn't you say? Like, I mean, it is the
law. Well, so perpetual transmutation of energy is the second law of thermodynamics. I mean, these are scientific laws, and you will also find them in all the major religions of the world. They're just worded a little bit different.
They all show up a little bit differently.
Yeah. And when you say the laws of the universe, you're working with mental science, right? So in that region, so your perpetual law of transmutation of energy, the law of vibration, which is basically the law of frequencies. Everything's on a frequency. The law of polarity,
cause and effect.
Definitely the law. I mean, Emerson said the cause and effect was the law of laws. Every effect has a cause. Every cause has an effect. Doubt is a cause. If you go into doubt, you're causing something.
You'll create all kinds of chaos.
That's for sure. You'll create all kinds of chaos. All kinds of chaos.
Even if you're certain and the certainty leads to a mistake, you're not in doubt. You're not creating chaos. Right. You're leading to a result that you can then learn from and change.
Yes.
To get the result that you actually want.
Yep.
It's that place of indecision where, like, I call it my own personal hell. Like, indecision is the worst place to be in my opinion. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, I mean, that's what Proctor used to say. Everything is just a decision. But if you think about this doubt thing for a second, there's even a little bit more to it, because if you look at it from a strategy perspective, it actually is a strategy for the working class so that they don't get themselves into trouble, in a way, right? It keeps them from risking too much. It keeps them in a very familiar position all of their life.
Yeah.
If they keep doubting, they won't stretch into something beyond their comprehension where they don't create a problem for themselves. But one of the things that I think that's interesting about it is that once you decide to grow, there's these kind of like these man-made ways of being in life that just keep us at a basic survival level. Those things start to go away as a form of reality, and you start to be able to move in the true potential, the true human potential that we actually have.
Yeah. Looking back, doubt kept me in teaching for 6 years. I mean, I was unhappy teaching after year 2. I was like, and so I just did more. Like, let's see if I can change this. Let's do more. I became the teacher president.
What were you doubting?
Like, that I could do anything else. My degree was in teaching and music. Like, the only people that I knew of teachers were there for 30 years. That was the initial plan. Security, benefits. Like, I stayed because what else was I going to do?
And that doubt actually came from somebody else, though, right? It came from your family.
Oh, yeah. It came from my family values. My family valued security, for sure.
Security.
Yeah, for sure.
So the doubt keeps you secure.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yep. And I think if I questioned my dad, he would say that the doubt kept him at General Motors for 30 years.
Right.
Even though he's got a very entrepreneurial spirit. He was doing things on the side, flipping, getting into real estate, flipping houses, buying rental properties.
Yeah.
He still stayed.
He's still staying
at General Motors for 30 years, like giving himself a pep talk to walk into work every day.
Right.
What if? I mean,
what if something goes wrong?
Yeah.
What if something goes wrong?
Then he'd be irresponsible, and that would be like the worst thing you could.
Yes,
it
is one of the worst things. Because it's interesting. We have this perspective of you don't need that. Don't do more than you need. Money doesn't grow on trees. All of that kind of nonsense that we hear as kids. And we're taught this solid principle about being responsible, but in a very limited pattern, so that you don't do anything to grow, because then you won't be responsible. And what if something goes wrong, without ever thinking, oh, this person is an intelligent person. They have the ability to figure out how to solve this problem.
Yes.
It was almost as if we had no intelligence whatsoever.
Yeah, don't do something, because if you do something, you're not going to be able to figure out your way,
right.
Figure your way out of it.
Exactly.
Which is the opposite of everyone's experience growing up.
Yes.
Like you're always able to figure yourself out of a problem. The solution is always there.
It's always there. It's just a decision.
Yeah. Great
That's
topic.
cool. Yeah, it really is.
Can I just chime in real quick? How much of this is also what will people think of me? I think that was when you brought up teaching.
Oh yeah, that's
and
responsibility.
Why you stayed. Okay.
Yeah, that's responsibility.
I didn't want to leave teaching. I probably would have left. We had the conversation at year 2. I remember we were around a couple prospective teachers, and we probably scared them running for the hills talking about our first year in the industry.
Yeah.
But for me, it was, what will people think of me? I just spent 5 years in college getting this degree, and I spent all this money, and I've got this debt, and what are my parents going to think? What are my professors going to think? What is my family going to say? How much of that is about, what will people think of me?
It's a pretty public mistake,
right?
Like to leave, and then what? You leave, and then you fail, you go back. Like how shameful is that?
It's the exact same reason when I left teaching the last time, and the principal said to me, it's a revolving door here. We'll keep your job for you if you.
Oh, jeez.
Said the same thing to me.
Yeah. Which I mean, I don't think they meant anything disrespectful about it. They just didn't want to lose my awesomeness.
But what a way to say, I doubt you're going to make it out on your own.
Correct.
Oh, we heard that the whole time. Heard that the whole time.
Yeah. It's an interesting. It's a
fascinating
great topic, though. Thank you
for sure.
All right.
Hey everybody, David Nagel here. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Successful Mind podcast on doubt. And hopefully now you understand the difference between doubt and faith, and how to make a conscious decision in order to stay in the expectation of what you want. Remember, gratitude is the key. It opens the door to everything that you want in life. And don't view fake it fake it until you make it as a lie. It is just a way of expecting the good that you desire to manifest in your life. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Successful Mind podcast. If you like what you've heard and you want to know more, go to lifeisnowinc.com.